Really fascinating to see all of the new research coming out on all the different areas that creatine can impact.
Okay, so let's kind of unpack this then, because you're right.
Yeah.
I think most people, the average person on the street, when they think about creatine, they think about, getting those gym gains, getting big muscles.
Right, exactly. But the research that we're looking at today suggests that there's a much bigger picture here.
So much bigger.
Than just that.
Much more to it.
Yeah.
And what's really amazing is that creatine is naturally produced in our bodies.
It is.
And it plays a crucial role in how our bodies produce energy.
Okay.
Especially in cells that need a lot of energy, like our muscles,
right,
but also like our brains.
Oh, interesting.
So it's not just about, the physical side of things.
So it's not just about getting swole.
No, not at all.
Okay.
The new research suggests that creatine can impact many more things than just how big your muscles are, how strong you are.
Yeah.
It's actually being studied for its potential to help with immune function, pregnancy, mental health, and even the treatment of some diseases.
Whoa.
It's pretty wild.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Lutein and pregnancy.
Yeah.
That's not a connection I ever would have made.
I know, right?
That's very interesting.
It is. It's really cool. But before we get into those areas, let's do a really quick recap of how creatine works on a basic level. Just a little refresher.
Yeah.
So basically, our cells use a molecule called ATP for energy.
Right.
It's like the energy currency of our cells.
Okay.
And creatine is like a backup energy reserve.
Like a little battery pack.
Exactly. It's like a little battery pack that our cells can use when they need a quick burst of energy.
Okay.
Like when you're doing a really intense workout,
right,
your body can tap into that creatine reserve.
Okay, so that makes sense then for the muscle side of things.
Right.
But how does that energy boost translate to something like the immune system or pregnancy?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
So let's start with the immune system.
Okay.
New research suggests that creatine might be what's called an immunomodulator.
Immunomodulator. What is an immunomodulator?
Basically, it means that it can help to fine-tune our immune response. So it helps our immune system be more efficient.
So it's not necessarily boosting it.
Not necessarily boosting it, more like making it work smarter.
Making it work smarter. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So you know how our immune system relies on these things called toll-like receptors or TLRs?
Right.
They basically detect and respond to infections.
Right.
They're like little alarm bells.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, that go off when there's a threat.
Tiny little alarm bells going.
Exactly, all over your body.
All over. Okay.
So where does creatine fit into all of this?
Yeah.
Well, studies have shown that creatine can actually affect how sensitive these TLRs are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's research that shows that creatine can downregulate specific TLRs, like TLR2, TLR3, TLR4, and TLR7.
Now, those are some technical terms?
Yeah, a little technical.
What does that mean in simpler terms?
Essentially, it means that creatine might help to reduce the inflammation that's triggered by those TLRs.
Okay.
And that could be a really good thing.
How so?
Well, chronic inflammation is linked to a lot of different diseases. So if we can modulate that response, we might be able to help prevent or manage those diseases.
So creatine could potentially play a role in managing inflammatory conditions.
It's a possibility.
Wow.
There's even research looking at how creatine might affect Parkinson's disease.
Really?
Yeah, which is linked to inflammation in the brain.
So we're talking about not just inflammation in the body, but inflammation in the brain as well.
Exactly.
Okay, this is really interesting.
Now, of course, we need more research.
Yeah.
Especially in humans.
Right.
To really understand this whole creatine and immune system connection.
Right.
But the early findings are definitely very promising.
Okay, so we've got this potential link then between creatine and the immune system.
Right.
What about the pregnancy connection?
Okay, so let's talk about pregnancy.
All right, let's talk about pregnancy.
It might seem weird.
It does.
But during pregnancy, the need for creatine actually goes up quite a bit.
Okay, why is that?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
You've got a baby growing. That needs a lot of energy.
Right, yeah.
And the mother's body also needs more energy during pregnancy.
Right.
So creatine's role in energy production becomes even more important.
So it's like providing energy for two, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So both getting creatine from food and potentially from supplements can be really important during pregnancy.
We're talking about like prenatal vitamins and things like that?
Yeah, prenatal vitamins are definitely important.
Okay.
But there's also been research on the benefits of adding creatine supplements during pregnancy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of benefits are we talking about?
Well, in animal studies,
Okay.
they've found that when mothers were given extra creatine, the babies had better survival rates and their organs functioned better,
Wow. Okay.
especially if there were complications during birth, like birth asphyxia.
Oh, what is birth asphyxia?
It's basically when a baby doesn't get enough oxygen during birth.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, which can lead to a lot of different health problems.
Right. Yeah.
So in these studies where they used a specific type of mouse,
Okay.
it's called a precocial spiny mouse.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
It's just a specific type of mouse they use in research.
Okay.
When the mothers were given creatine,
Yeah.
it seemed to protect the babies, and the babies had better outcomes.
Wow. That's incredible.
Wait.
So I'm sure a lot of expectant mothers out there listening are probably thinking, what about human studies?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Like, do we know if this applies to humans as well?
You know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of research
Oh, okay.
yet on creatine and pregnancy in humans.
Okay.
So there's definitely a need for more research in that area.
So more studies are needed.
Absolutely.
All right.
The animal studies are really promising.
Yeah.
But we need to do human trials to make sure it's safe and effective for pregnant women.
Of course.
But the potential benefits are really exciting.
Yeah. So it's like we've got this potential to boost the immune system,
Right.
potentially to protect newborns.
Mm.
And you mentioned mental health earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the connection there?
So this is another area where research on creatine is showing some really amazing things.
Okay.
There's growing evidence that creatine plays a role in brain health
Okay.
and that it might even be helpful for conditions like depression.
Wait, creatine is an antidepressant?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, right?
How does that work?
Well, researchers think that it might have to do with creatine's ability to help brain cells produce energy.
Okay.
Our brains are always working.
Right.
They need a lot of energy to function properly.
Makes sense.
And when that energy supply is low,
Yeah.
it can affect our mood and how well we think.
Okay.
So the theory is that by boosting energy in the brain,
Yeah.
creatine might be able to help lift our mood and fight depression.
Okay. So it's like a brain power up.
Kinda, yeah.
All right. So is there evidence to support that theory?
There is. There's actually several studies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What kind of study?
So, for example, there's research showing that supplementing with creatine monohydrate,
Okay.
which is like the most common form of creatine,
Right.
has led to improvements for people with both unipolar and bipolar depression.
So we're not just talking about animal studies here. We're talking about human studies.
These are studies with actual people.
Okay. So it's like moving beyond the lab and into the real world.
Exactly.
Wow. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of blown away by how far-reaching creatine's impact seems to be.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Like we've gone from muscles to the immune system to pregnancy and now mental health.
And that's not even all of it.
Seriously.
Yeah, there's more.
Okay, what else is there?
Well, creatine's potential goes even further.
Okay.
There's research looking at how it might be used in clinical settings
Okay.
for all sorts of things like heart health, cancer, even neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
I told you this deep dive would be surprising.
You weren't kidding?
Yeah, creatine is a really fascinating molecule
It really is.
with so much potential.
I'm really eager to hear more about these clinical applications.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that.
But before we do, maybe we should take a minute to talk about the different types of creatine that are out there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because I know there are a few. I've
Right.
seen creatine monohydrate,
Mhm.
creatine ethyl ester, creatine salts.
There are a bunch of different forms.
Like, which one do you choose?
Yeah, it can be confusing.
Yeah.
So let's break it down a little bit.
Okay, let's do that.
And then we can get into those exciting clinical applications.
All right, sounds good.
So yeah, before we get into those clinical applications, let's just quickly go over the different forms of creatine supplements that you might see out there.
Okay, yeah, because there are a few different options, right?
Yeah, there are.
I've seen like creatine monohydrate, creatine ethyl ester, creatine salts.
Yeah.
It can be a little confusing.
It can be a bit of a maze, but let's simplify it. So the most researched and widely recommended form is creatine monohydrate.
Creatine monohydrate. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like the classic one.
That's the OG creatine, the one that's been studied the most.
Okay.
And it's got a really good track record in terms of safety and effectiveness.
Okay.
And generally, it's the most affordable option, too.
So why are there all these other forms of creatine on the market?
Well, you know, the supplement industry is always looking for the next best thing.
Right.
So they're always trying to come up with new versions that they claim are better.
Okay.
So, like with creatine ethyl ester and creatine yeast salt,
Yeah.
they market them as being absorbed better or working faster.
So are they actually better?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some research on these other forms,
Okay.
but the evidence to say that they're actually better than creatine monohydrate is pretty limited.
So it sounds like for now, sticking with the tried and true creatine monohydrate is the best bet.
Yeah, most experts would agree with that.
Okay.
Creatine monohydrate is the most well-established and reliable form out there. It's been around for ages, and it's backed by a ton of scientific research.
Okay. So that settles that.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to those clinical applications that you were talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
You said that creatine's being investigated for conditions like heart health, cancer, even neurological diseases.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
So how does that work?
Well, remember how we talked about creatine's role in helping cells produce energy?
Right.
That's really important when it comes to diseases.
Okay.
Because in a lot of diseases, the cells are actually starved for energy.
Okay, so it's like giving them an energy boost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like giving those cells a lifeline.
Okay, great.
So let's take heart health as an example.
Okay.
Specifically heart failure.
Okay.
So in heart failure, the heart muscle gets weak
Right.
and it struggles to pump blood effectively.
So are they looking at whether creatine can actually help the heart muscle get stronger?
Yeah, that's one of the things they're looking at.
Wow.
We're trying to see if creatine can improve how well the heart functions and also improve quality of life for people with heart failure.
That makes sense. The heart is like working all the time.
Yeah, it's a nonstop organ.
So it needs that constant energy supply.
It needs all the energy it can get.
Okay, but what about cancer?
Okay, so cancer is really interesting.
Sure.
Some studies suggest that creatine might actually help the immune system fight cancer cells better.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's some evidence that creatine can enhance the activity of these cells called CD8 T cells.
Okay.
These are like the special forces of the immune system.
I like that.
Yeah, they're the ones that go after and destroy cancer cells.
These assassins.
Exactly.
Okay.
So creatine might be able to make them even more effective at their job.
So it's like giving them extra ammunition
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
to fight the cancer.
Now, of course, it's still early research.
Yeah.
And we need more studies to be sure, but the initial findings are definitely promising.
It's just amazing to think that a supplement that's typically associated with building muscles could actually have such a wide range of effects on our health.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it?
It really is.
And we're not even done yet.
Okay, what else is there?
We still need to talk about the neurological diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Okay, yeah, those are big ones.
Those ones.
And I know there's a lot of research going on in those areas.
Yeah, there's a ton of research.
So what are they finding with creatine?
Well, researchers are really interested in creatine's neuroprotective properties.
Neuroprotective. Okay, what does that mean?
Basically, it means that it can help protect brain cells from damage.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah, very important.
Especially with those conditions.
Exactly.
So how does that work in practice?
So with Parkinson's disease, for example,
Okay.
there's evidence that creatine might help protect the brain cells that produce dopamine.
Okay.
And those are the cells that are lost in Parkinson's disease, which is why people experience those really debilitating symptoms.
So creatine could potentially slow the progression of Parkinson's by protecting those brain cells.
That's the hope.
Wow.
It's a complex disease,
Yeah.
and there's still a lot we don't know.
Of course.
But the research on creatine's neuroprotective effects in Parkinson's is really encouraging.
And what about Alzheimer's?
So with Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
the focus is on how creatine can help improve the brain's energy metabolism
Okay.
and also how it can reduce oxidative stress.
Oxidative stress. That sounds bad.
It's basically an imbalance in the brain
Okay.
between these harmful molecules called free radicals
Sure.
and the antioxidants that are supposed to protect our cells.
Right.
So when there's too much oxidative stress,
Yeah.
it can actually damage and kill brain cells.
Yeah.
And that can contribute to the development of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So creatine might be able to protect brain cells from that damage.
Exactly. It might be able to act as a shield against that oxidative stress.
Wow.
Now, again, this is all early research.
Right.
But there's more and more evidence suggesting that creatine might be a new way to manage and maybe even slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease.
This is all so fascinating.
It is, right.
It makes you wonder what other hidden potential is there in this seemingly simple supplement.
That's what I love about science.
Yeah.
We're always discovering new things
Right.
and challenging our old assumptions.
Yeah, creatine is a perfect example of that.
It really is.
I mean, I went from thinking it was just a gym supplement
Yeah.
to realizing that it's this molecule with incredible potential for human health.
Absolutely.
I'm sure our listeners are out there like, whoa.
Their minds are probably blown.
Yeah, this is a lot to take in.
It is.
But that's what we do here on the Deep Dive, right?
That's what we do.
We take a topic that you might think you already know,
Yeah.
and then we turn it on its head
We go deep.
and reveal all the hidden depths and unexpected connections.
That's exactly.
And I think we've definitely done that today.
I think so too.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the basics of how creatine works to its potential roles in immunity, pregnancy, mental health,
Yeah.
and all these different clinical applications.
It's a lot.
So speaking of sparking curiosity,
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts or questions for our listeners before we wrap up this deep dive?
I think our listeners are probably just sitting there like, wow.
Yeah, their minds are probably spinning.
So much information about creatine.
Yeah,
It's a lot to process.
it really is. I mean, we've gone from the very basic stuff, like how does creatine work, to help your muscles grow,
Right.
to like, whoa,
Yeah.
how does it modulate the immune system,
Exactly.
protect babies during pregnancy,
Yeah.
support our mental health.
And maybe even help treat some really serious diseases.
It's like creatine is this hidden superhero
It kind of is.
working behind the scenes to keep our bodies healthy.
Yeah, I love that analogy. It really highlights just how interconnected everything is in our bodies.
it does.
You know, we think about this molecule that we used to think was only for muscles,
Right.
and now we're realizing it's involved in so many different processes.
It really shows you how much we still have to learn about the human body.
Exactly. So for our listeners who are out there thinking, okay, I need to learn more about this creatine versal,
Yeah.
where should they start?
Well, I would say the most important thing is to be curious,
Okay.
but also to be informed.
Right. So don't just take our word for it.
Exactly.
Go out there and do your own research.
There are so many studies available online,
Yeah.
and there are some great resources out there like the NIH, the National Institutes of Health.
Right.
They have really reliable information.
I think it's important to emphasize as well that while we've talked about a lot of exciting possibilities here,
Yeah,
creatine isn't some magic cure-all.
definitely not.
It's important to talk to your doctor before you start taking any new supplement, especially if you have any health conditions.
Always good to get professional advice.
So I'm curious, what's next for creatine research?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, what are scientists focusing on now?
Well, one area that's really exciting is personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine.
Okay. Yeah, so researchers are trying to figure out how our genes can affect how our bodies process creatine,
Okay.
because everybody's a little bit different.
Right.
So the idea is that in the future, we might be able to tailor creatine supplementation to each person's individual needs.
So it's like customized creatine.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty futuristic.
And another area that I know there's a lot of research going on is in combination therapies.
Oh, yeah, that's a hot topic.
So like using creatine along with other treatments
Exactly.
to boost their effectiveness.
So for example, in cancer treatment,
Okay.
they're looking at how creatine might work together with chemotherapy or immunotherapy
Okay.
to help the immune system fight the cancer cells even better.
So it's like giving your body that extra edge in the fight.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are similar studies happening in other areas too, like with neurodegenerative diseases, where
Right.
they're trying to see if creatine can enhance the effects of existing treatments.
It's pretty amazing how this supplement that we used to think of as just for building muscle
No.
is now at the forefront of all this cutting edge research.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that we're always learning new things.
Right.
And that even the things we think we know well can still surprise us.
Absolutely.
It's a good reminder to always stay curious.
Yeah.
And to keep asking questions.
Well, this deep dive has definitely sparked my curiosity.
Mine too.
And I think it's done the same for our listeners.
I hope so.
It's challenged our assumptions about creatine
Yeah.
and shown us just how much potential it really has.
It's a fascinating molecule.
It really is.
So much more than meets the eye.
So to everyone listening out there, keep exploring, keep learning.
Yeah, don't be afraid to dive deep into the topics that interest you.
There's a whole world of knowledge out there.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll revisit this topic
And
and delve into even more groundbreaking discoveries about creatine.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
This is just the beginning of the creatine story.
On that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Right.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of discovery.
It's been fun.
We hope you've enjoyed it
Yeah.
and that you've learned something new about the amazing world of creatine.
And until next time, stay curious.
And keep those minds and bodies energized.